All right, we are back. This is the WatchWell Podcast. Nick, what episode is this? I have no idea.
I should know the answer to that. Is this episode 8?
It's episode 8. Hang on a second, Nick. You are frozen.
Are you sure?
Nope.
Or was that just being still?
No. Okay, we're good now. I can't actually... so since we're using OBS, I can't actually minimize Zoom or else it freezes you in OBS.
Oh.
So, yeah, there's that. Sorry guys, we're getting used to this. We're still recording, but we're just gonna go with it. It's informal. We're doing a freestyle. We're calling these freestyles. Since I was sick last week, we didn't really have anything super prepared, but we wanted to do another episode. I guess we started off with our favorite episode thus far of the podcast. Did you say 7 or 8?
I think it's 8.
You think it's 8?
I could be wrong about that. Let's see. Before we do that, let's count. So we did the intro episode. That was episode 1.
And that was no movie. We didn't do a review on that one.
So Fences.
Yep.
The Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Sing.
Yep.
Free Guy.
Sing, Free Guy. Yep, that sounds right.
What did we do after Free Guy? Richard.
King Richard. Yeah, King
so
Richard.
This is 7. This is episode 7.
Episode 7. I like it.
Yeah,
episode 7.
The last episode we did was King Richard.
Right. Cool. Well, I guess let's start it off. Do you have like a favorite episode so far?
I think it's hard to choose because I think all of them have been pretty good, but I think the Batman episode might be my favorite. I'll stick with that one at first. And then if we get further into talk about them, maybe I'll add another one. But yeah, I think the Batman episode. What about you?
I think my favorite, I think I was going to pick the Batman too, but just because you picked it, I'll pick a different one.
Good. Don't copy me.
I'm not going to copy you. I was nice and let you go first. Let's see. My favorite episode so far. I think Fences would probably have to be my second favorite.
Okay.
So I think I might have to go with Fences because it's a drama. And there was a lot of I don't know. I really liked talking about the commandment of following, honoring your parents, even when they're not honorable. So I thought that was a really good, really good discussion.
So the first review we did was your favorite so far, or I guess second favorite if the Batman's your favorite.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that.
All right. Yeah, I really liked the Fences episode too. And that's kind of the one, when we were talking about when you and I first started talking about the podcast was, I had some stuff written up and that's what I sent you. And you're like, yeah, this should be a podcast.
Yeah, we were throwing around. Yeah, we were definitely throwing around ideas for the podcast. And then you sent that write-up of Fences to me. And I was like, dude, this is the podcast.
Right. Yeah.
Think no further. This is what we need to do.
Yeah.
So it worked out. So it's your favorite episode, but is it your favorite discussion? Is that what we're linking? Are those the same things?
I think they're kind of the same. I just think the content that we had in the Batman episode just flowed really well. I think it was really relatable, but the other thing about specifically the Batman was that the movie itself kind of made it obvious where we could go with it. There wasn't like, do you know what I mean? But does that make sense? Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah, I think I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, with the Batman episode, when you watch that movie, you walk away. Vengeance is so much at the forefront that there's not really a lot of other topics that you could do with it.
Yeah, I think that you could talk about hope. I think you could talk about understanding your limits, your limits as a hero. I think that's important, especially like if you wanted to take that conversation to a leadership space or, in all the other Batman movies that I've seen, Batman is the savior, like the sanctification of Gotham, as you will, right?
Right. Yeah.
And I think this movie was done really well in the fact that it was very clear through the script that Batman can't be that.
Yeah.
So I think that you could have taken it that way as well, but you're right. The overarching theme of the movie is that vengeance is, I guess, what would you say? Not necessarily lacking in value, but I think the conclusion that we came to was that it's sinful if it's done by human, but righteous if done by God, because God is perfect.
Yeah, we definitely landed there, but I think what the movie gets right is that vengeance doesn't bring anybody peace.
Agreed.
Like it
Yeah,
doesn't bring.
that's right.
But what it gets wrong is that there's nowhere to go from. You can't just trust in people, right? So the comparison between vengeance and hope. If vengeance doesn't get you anything, and you have to have hope, where do you actually have hope? Like, where do you find hope?
Yeah,
And
what's the foundation?
The movie says it's just other people. It was just hope in people again.
Yeah,
that's where it falls short. But
right.
Yeah.
So what do you think of well, let's keep the trend here. So we talked about Batman. Let's go through each episode and do a little blurb of what we liked, what we disliked. I don't know. Do you like that idea? Or?
Yeah, let's do that. And then that gives anyone who's listening right now for the first time, go back, watch these movies, listen to the episodes in full. I mean,
Yeah, I like
get a little intro here, but go back and
watch them in full.
For example, the Batman you can watch on HBO Max now. You can watch it at home. You can rent it if you don't have HBO Max, and then go watch your episode on it.
Yeah, super good stuff, man. It's been sitting with me for a little bit. I what you said about. So let's talk about the movie Sing. Okay, let's talk about that because I had some pretty harsh opinions about that movie.
Okay.
And what you said kind of sat with me for a little bit, and I think that.
Can you reiterate what it is?
Yeah. So my big issue with the movie Sing was that all of the male characters in the movie were bad examples of what men should be. There was no good role model male figure in the movie. They were, all the dads were either, drowning at work and had no time for the wife and kids, or literal bank robbers, in jail, in and out of prison.
Trying to get their son to follow in their
footsteps. Yeah. So as a father of a 2-year-old, it's very easy to chalk that up to woke Hollywood. Sing's not a Disney movie, is it?
No,
I don't think it is. I don't think it's Disney, but it's very
I'd
easy.
to look up what it is. I can't remember, but yeah, not Disney.
But it's easy to chalk that up to woke ideology in today's society. So I have a very short fuse for that, and maybe it's one of my own vices where I just immediately think, okay, they're shoving it down our throats again,
Yeah.
But one of the things that you said in that episode as we were discussing it, kind of sat with me a little bit, where you said, but that's what men do.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
Like, wokeism or not, men are not fulfilling the duties and the role that God has placed them in.
Right. Or at least by and large.
Yeah, as a mass generality, right?
Right.
And I think that I'm a little bit more okay with that depiction now as like a realism plot line, if you will, than I was to begin with. And I think
that's interesting.
I think that if we stop our triggers, I guess, if you will, we can use viewing stories through the lens of truth. Just because there's no bad role models doesn't mean you still can't teach your kid that things are wrong or things are right, or this is where the shortcoming is, and still use that as a lesson,
Yeah. Yeah, I've been thinking about that too. Not necessarily that movie, but just in general, when people um, a lot of times people can overreact, and I don't even know that you did. You just saw some stuff in the movie that you didn't like, and that's perfectly fine. But um, sometimes people can overreact as if, you know, like this movies have to be my child's role model, right? Parents can like almost place that weight on the movie. And I guess the way that I think about it is, yes, do I want strong characters in movies? Of course, I want strong, good characters. Do I want the what is good to win out over what is bad ultimately? And do I hope that in whatever movies we're watching and looking at, that what I agree with as good is also what the movie agrees with as good? Yes, I want all of that stuff, but also recognizing that when a movie falls short of that, it's like ultimately, who is my child's role model? Who should I encourage my child to look to? Who should I encourage my child to get these moral lessons from? It's me, right? My if I'm what I need to be, and I'm the presence that they need in their lives, then they don't need the movies to be that for them.
Right.
Does that make
No.
right?
Yeah, and I think for the full frame of reference in what you're saying is they need me to teach them godly principles from the Bible, correct?
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting
Because
at.
that's
And
what our duty as fathers
right.
are.
Right. So it's really more about like recognizing what's not right in the film, and that's not to. There's obviously there's definitely films, even kids films that I would be like, no, we're not going to watch that. Right. We're not gonna watch that. It's just not good in any way. We're not even gonna entertain it. But even if there are, excuse me, even if there are movies that are kids movies, we might watch one that's not like 100% good for a family movie night. And then if there's something in there that I don't want them to copy or to imitate, then I say that. We talk about that, and that's part of. That's part of what we're doing with the podcast. Is we're trying to. It's not just us watching a movie through the lens of truth, through the lens of our faith, and then talking about it. It's doing that with the goal of people who watch and listen to us then doing the same thing, right? So when I do that with my 4-year-old, what I'm trying to help her develop is the lenses.
Right.
What I'm trying to help her develop is the lenses that you're going to watch this through. And it's not just movies, it's all of life. How do you see the world? It's a worldview thing.
Right.
And so when you see something evil in a film or in the world, it's an opportunity to help develop those lenses.
Right. Yeah, that's good stuff, man. No, so I just wanted to throw that out there because it's what you said has been sticking with me for however long it's been since we did that episode. What was that episode? Episode 3 or 4?
It was the third review, but yeah, episode 4.
Episode 4. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Because I always get mixed up because episode 1 wasn't a movie.
Right.
We call it episode 1, but yeah. So.
Yeah. Awesome, man. No, that's really good stuff. We kind of went out of order, but do you have anything to say about the movie Fences, the review, the episode we did on Fences? I really enjoyed that one. I wanted your thoughts.
Yeah, I like it a lot. It seems like, and this is not by accident, but almost every movie we come to, we've done, except for, maybe not the Batman and maybe not Free Guy. But in some way, it seems like it's a trend that we always come back to fatherhood. Right? So we started there with Fences, and then even though Sing isn't even a movie about fatherhood, we came back around to it in some way. And King Richard was all about, a strong father. So, but Fences, I really like the conversation there because, mainly because of that question that we asked in there, talking about how do you honor a parent that's hurt you,
right?
And just addressing that question, I thought was, because the Bible says honor your father and your mother, and that there's no exceptions there,
Right.
right? So
How would
then
you explain to someone, Nick? How would you explain to someone who is just now getting into their walk or journey with Jesus, not you know, the Bible refers to like babes in Christ, they need spiritual milk, and as they're infants in their faith, how would
yeah.
you I guess, because when I was younger, no one really taught me how to hear the harsh things of the Word of God.
Mm-hmm.
Is there something that you could offer, or that we could offer to some of the listeners, to I guess I don't really know how to communicate what I'm trying to say, but position themselves in a way to receive it, or at least hang on to it and not make preconceived thoughts or opinions or decisions on that until they learn more? Is there value in that? Or I don't know if I'm communicating that super clearly, but
If I understand what you're saying, then I think a big part of that is humility. Just, like even as you grow and you know more things, like you're reading the word a lot, and maybe even listening to sermons and lectures, and maybe you're growing a lot in knowledge. I think a big part is remaining humble, that you can't just jump to the right answer just because you have a lot of knowledge, but you also can't just jump to the right answer because you feel a certain way, or because you
so I guess be patient
another
and
answer
aware of
might
your
offend
emotion.
you.
Yeah. I guess what I was referring to more is the more offensive aspects of the Bible, because I think it's very easy to
Like,
it's
do you
very
have an
easy.
example?
Well, an example is like the sin of homosexuality in today's society.
Okay.
Something like that. It's very hard for people to hear things like that and then want to put all of their trust in Jesus, when the preconceived idea is that he doesn't accept those people. You and
Right.
I can have a conversation about how it's the sin itself that is not accepted, but the people should be loved,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
But someone, I guess, to transition them to like hear this harsh truth, but hang on to it and don't let it affect your emotions so bad that you stop your search, or
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know. What does that make sense?
Yeah. And I don't know if I don't know that I really have a good answer, but even then, I think to me it comes back to humility. Um, I think it comes back to whatever truth is being communicated should be, a lot of times. I went to a biblical counseling conference. Um, it was the first track of a training of biblical counseling, and I haven't gone to the subsequent training sessions, but the big theme of biblical counseling is speaking the truth in love. So
Right.
like it's all about, you want whoever you're counseling, through, and using the Bible, counseling through life issues, through things that things exactly like what you're talking about. It's speaking the truth in love. You don't hold back on truth, but you also don't hold back on love. And usually, more often than not, hard things are best spoken in the context of relationship,
Which take time.
which take time to build.
Right.
Yeah. And that obviously, that concept doesn't originate with me at all, but I think it's true. I think I've experienced that. And if there's no relationship with somebody, then there's no hope of even getting into their heart, because what we're talking about are not just do or don't do lists, right?
Right.
It's not here's your list of rules, do these things and don't do these things, and then you're good.
You
It's
mean in
no.
terms of like salvation?
Yeah.
Right. Right.
And even sanctification can't be like growing in your faith can't be grounded in that.
Right. Right.
Right. So it's about the heart. It's about growing. It's about first placing your faith, or another way to say that, placing confidence or trust in Jesus, that what he did on the cross was a sufficient payment, was a good enough payment, a good enough sacrifice to cover for all of my sin, past, present, and future. And my trust is in his sacrifice. And now I'm committing to living my life completely for him, no matter what that entails.
Right.
So it's about submitting to his authority over my life. So it's, no matter how hard it is, and it will be hard, what he says is sin is sin. What he says is not good is not good.
Right. I'm actually, it's funny you word it that way. I'm actually reading a book right now. It's an apologetic book. It's called Always Ready, I think. Always Be Ready, or Always Ready, by Bonson.
Mm-hmm.
And
heard of it, not read it, but I've heard of it.
It's got my head in knots. But it's the first 6 chapters have been about neutrality, and that neutrality is the death of the Christian faith in terms of like scholastic knowledge and intellect, and it's been kind of eye-opening to really take to heart the verses of love the Lord your God with all of your heart, all of your soul, all of your mind.
Mm-hmm.
Unyielding allegiance to Jesus in everything.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of echoes what you're saying a little bit, where it's so often that the Christian, and this is what the book talks about, which I can only oversimplify it because I don't totally understand it yet. But it's interesting to think how easy it is to just say, like, you know, in a debate, or if you're talking to someone who disagrees with you, don't make the argument don't make an authoritative argument, because they might have a different authority than you.
Mm-hmm.
I think the book's argument so far is, regardless of what they think, God is still their authority. They just aren't aware of it yet.
Yeah.
And it's been kind of eye-opening to learn about stuff like that, to always keep in mind that submission to the Word of God and to Jesus and God himself should be at the forefront.
Yeah, for sure.
So that was a rabbit trail. That was good.
Yeah. Another thing on Bonson, it's hard to find, and the quality's not that good, but he actually has a I think it's like a 3-hour debate that you can find audio of on YouTube. It's between him and an atheist.
Right.
But like it's really good stuff. I don't know what our listeners like to listen to, but I really like to listen to debates.
Right.
I like to listen to, Christians and atheists debate. I like to listen to Christians debate biblical topics, like I'm not thinking of anything off the top of my head, but a lot of different things. But Calvinism, Arminianism, for one thing, you can find debates on that topic too. But I really like to listen to debates. And Greg Bonson, has a debate with a guy named, I can't remember his first name, but his last name is Stein. And it's a really good, I think it's something that people should listen to.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out. I haven't seen that. I did, however, watch Jeff Durbin, and I'm forgetting the other pastor's name, debate some MD and another guy.
Yeah.
They were secular.
James White.
Yep. Yeah.
James White is a professional debater, so he's got a ton of debates that you can watch on YouTube and listen to as well.
And I enjoyed that one. I really did enjoy that one.
Was it the one where the there was a bald guy?
Yeah.
That they were
and he got up in their face at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it that one?
Yeah.
I think that one gets pretty rowdy.
It was fun to watch, though.
It wasn't much of a debate, though.
It was no, it wasn't. It was a lot of yelling.
Yeah.
And scolding the audience. I kind of felt bad for the audience.
Yeah.
But Yeah, the guy got up in their face. I forget his name. I think he was a doctor, and he did something with eye surgery or something like that. But he got up in their face, and it was just kind of funny to see how aggressive and angry he was, because I don't know if he knows this, but Jeff Durbin was like an Olympic martial artist.
Yeah.
Like in multiple black belts. So it's just kind of funny to know that. So we've talked about fences. We've talked about Batman. Sing.
Free Guy. What about
Free Guy? We got to talk about Free Guy. And I want to apologize to anybody watching on YouTube. I'm still getting used to the switcher a little bit. I've made a few mistakes on who's talking and going back and forth. So bear with me as we get used to this new system. But Free Guy was good. Free Guy. Let's see. Identity. I think was a big part of that one, right?
Value of life.
Value of life. Yeah.
Yep.
And then love. We talked a lot about love for that one.
A lot about love. Yep.
That the different forms of love. I really think it's true, man, that in sex sells in our society, right? And it's the solution to all of the problems. And I think the hard truth is that people don't want to hear that it actually creates more problems when sex is utilized outside of marriage.
Yep.
I don't know, man. It's child support payments and I
think you can pretty well trace that.
Right.
Where people get outside of the bounds on this, destruction follows more often than not. Or at least, if not destruction, and I don't necessarily mean like your life is completely ruined. That's not what I mean by destruction.
Just negative consequences.
Hard consequences that you have to deal with forever.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
And so one thing is I would never include children in that description, even if they come like from outside of the bounds of what sex is supposed to be. I wouldn't include, when I talk about hard consequences, I mean all of the things surrounding that. I'm of the belief that children are always a blessing regardless of the context in which they came into the world.
Right.
No matter what, they're always 100% of the time.
Life is good.
A blessing.
Right.
Yeah.
Life is good.
It's a good thing, and it's actually a way of that God will use to infuse something good if you'll submit to him and listen to what he's saying. He's infusing something good into an awful situation
that we ourselves have created.
Right.
Emphasis on the we created, the bad part.
Exactly. So, but the flip side of that is, like you said, there are all kinds of nasty consequences that come from getting out of whack with that, right?
Right.
And you mentioned, very like child support payments and, there's all kinds of things like,
well, I mean, I know that
difficulty.
Yeah, I know that a lot of people. I mean, this quote has been going around, I'm sure, for a while now. But I think it was Ben Shapiro that I heard it from first, where he said, "In order to reach the middle class in America, you have to wait to have sex until you're married, graduate high school, and get a job."
Yeah, I've heard Dave Ramsey talk about that.
Yeah, I'm not sure who said it first or who should get the credit. I know I heard it from Ben first. But I'm sure that quote has gone around quite a bit.
I think it was actually based on some research that was done that basically said that if you meet these things, then you'll be successful.
Yeah, you'll be at least in the middle class. Yeah.
Yeah. But I have no idea where that research would have come from.
Yeah, I couldn't quote a source either.
But anyway, with Free Guy, we were talking about, I know one of the things that I brought up with that movie was that it made you think, like for most of the movie, it made you think that the way that you add value to your life is to go outside of what you were designed for, to do more than you were designed for.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
Because it's like Guy, they portray him as he's this character who's supposed to be in the background. and he never experiences the value of life until he breaks out of the background. But then we find out at the end of the movie
That's what he was designed to do.
that's what he was designed for.
Right.
So in actuality, and I think it's a very biblical principle there. Not that they were trying to, but I think they accidentally stumbled upon a biblical principle there that you're most alive when you do exactly what you were designed to do.
And what's kind of crazy to add to that is you said that they accidentally stumbled upon that. I mean, if we're made in the image of God, part of ourselves wants to do what we were designed to do. Would you agree?
Yeah, but at the same time, we suppress that and rebel against it.
From our sinful nature, of course. Right,
yeah.
right. But just even in writing, if you want to, so do you think that them writing that as a plot line, do you believe that in spite of them trying to, if they were trying to suppress biblical principles, and I know we're making a leap here, but do you believe that biblical principles could still come out of trying to suppress because we're made in the image of God?
Yeah, and I think that's what's so good about stories, is because even when you're telling a story, just the act of telling a story is reminiscent or reflective of God.
Right.
Just that act, and not even, you could look at Jesus and the parables and the way he taught with that, but the way I see it is all of history, like real history, is God telling a story. And he's telling the story of the fall of his creation and his redemption of that creation, and then in the end reuniting all those things together. And you and I, for instance, have a part in that story that God is weaving together, and he's giving us character arcs and character development and all of that stuff. God is doing that in our lives, and he's weaving a story together in each of us and everyone around us, everyone we see around us. There's actually a really cool book. I haven't finished it, but it's an incredible. It is I would encourage anyone to read it. It's called "Death by Living" by an author named N.D. Wilson.
Okay.
N.D. the letters.
Yeah.
Wilson. Incredible book, and he talks a lot about that, about God, the story God is weaving, and how when you pass somebody on the street, like, actually stop and think about that for a second. That it's not God's story isn't centered on you. God's story isn't centered on me, and it's also not centered on the person who I'm walking by on the street. But that person has equally a character arc with development and events going on and struggle in their life as much as mine does. And God is somehow weaving all of these things together to form one incredible narrative story that brings him glory.
Mm-hmm.
And when we tell stories, whether it's a book, a movie, or whether it's, reading a book to your kids before bedtime, that's reflective of the God who is doing that in real time. Like, right. It's just, so every time, this is a long-winded way of answering your question, but every time someone tells a story, even that in and of itself is reflective of being made in the image of God.
Right.
That we have that desire to create something, to create characters. And I think even that, so I think it's inevitable that in that process of telling a story that things are going to come out.
Yeah, that's good stuff, man. So that was Free Guy. King Richard, is that next?
Yeah, I think that's right. Was that after Free Guy?
Or was there one in between?
It must have been. Because we had a pretty long break, I think, there too.
Yeah. So King Richard.
Technical difficulties.
Yeah. King Richard. I do have to say the movie was way better than I thought it was going to be.
It was?
Yeah. I didn't have a whole lot of high hopes for the movie.
Okay.
I mean, did you?
Well, I mean, I knew it was. Well, so we watched it after the Oscars, so I knew Will Smith won the award for Best Actor. So I at least had expectations that he was going to be good in it.
Yeah, was
But
that Will Smith's first Oscar? Do you know?
I think it was his at the very least it was his first Oscar for Best Actor.
Okay. Wasn't sure
I
if he
know,
won.
I think he was nominated like way back when he played Muhammad Ali,
Yeah, that sounds right.
but I don't think he won.
Okay.
Are you tired? Is it late?
It's a little late.
Coffee.
Yeah, I should probably drink some coffee. I mean, we're back on fatherhood.
Yeah.
We just can't seem to get away from it.
Yeah.
Um,
But we talked about how it was the exact opposite of Fences.
yeah. But there's still a lot of similarities though, right? I mean,
Yeah.
the drive of a father to get his kids where they need to be for them to be successful adults, I believe, is pretty similar across the movies. Would you agree?
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. The motivation behind what each father was doing was very similar.
I think the main difference is in Fences, Troy did it from the perspective of I'm a victim, and Will Smith's character, King Richard, did it from the perspective of I don't care what's happened to me, my kids are going to be the greatest.
Yeah. Or I'm going to ensure that they're not in a position to experience that.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to work as hard as I possibly can to get them out of this, whatever this is, this type of situation.
Right.
Because remember, I think we both said what was pretty powerful was that, he told the story of when his dad ran away when he was getting when Richard was, like,
I'm glad you brought that
beaten.
up. Yeah, I remember that now.
He said that he didn't want his daughters to ever see him run away, and so that was kind of like the foundation for what he was doing.
I don't want to be repetitive, but I feel like Troy, and I know we're speculating on characters that are whatever, but I think Troy in that scenario would say, to be a man, it doesn't matter what your father would do in that situation.
Maybe.
You know what I'm saying? Like if you project the negative versus the positive of, like, I didn't have my dad, so if I walked away from you, it would be making you stronger. I think you could maybe infer that.
Maybe. I think maybe Troy had a lot of the same motivation though, like that he also didn't. I think the reason so Troy is from Fences, so like the issue with football, he didn't want Corey to play football because of the pain that baseball brought to Troy, right?
Right.
So I think it's kind of similar. Troy just went about it in a different way. Like Troy went about it in a way to say, I'm taking this good thing from you
because of what happened to me.
Right.
Because
and
they
Richard
took it away from me.
Because of what happened to me, I'm going to work as hard as I can to help you rise to a level in what you love.
But back on what I was saying about Troy being a victim is he took it from Corey because in Troy's words, the white man, and even literally the white man took it from him. So it's a waste of time for Corey to even try.
Right.
Because he's gonna hit that racial wall. There's better use of his time, and he should go to work. So from the eyes of the victim, blinded by the changes of society, which Rose and Corey attempted to tell him about,
right.
I think that his past blinded him, and he just kept in that same, as rightfully so as he probably was in terms of his anger towards being kept away from success in baseball from the racial tension and the racism that occurred at the time. He let that blind him, and his son suffered. But
So
if you look at it from the other side of it, King Richard didn't care. His girls were going to be the best regardless.
Yeah, that's true.
So
here's a question.
Okay.
Better acting, Denzel in Fences or Will Smith in King Richard?
Well, as a joke, I would say, I mean, I know now it's coming out that it's all true and stuff, but I as a joke, I would say Will Smith on stage with Chris Rock. But that's tough. I do have to say that I'm more of a Denzel fan than I am a Will Smith fan. I'm just gonna I'm gonna have to say it.
Yeah.
I think that yeah, I just think Denzel is probably the greatest actor to ever live.
Wow, that's strong, huh?
Yeah, that's strong.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't knock you for it, but I agree with you. Denzel, I think, and the crazy thing is, I don't think Denzel won an award for it. He might have, and I'm not sure. But to my memory,
I actually think Viola Davis.
I'm wrong,
I think Viola Davis was nominated for something out of that movie, and not Denzel. But I could be wrong.
She was incredible too.
We should probably start doing that in our lineups when we do the ratings and stuff. We should probably look at awards too. That might be a cool little thing.
Yeah,
just movie trivia.
Yeah,
might be cool.
Yeah. So another thing that I noticed is we really like movies. Well, we did two movies from 2016.
So is that just our age?
And then we're not doing it today, but the movie that we have planned next is also from 2016.
Yeah. So do you think that we should do a movie?
Maybe it's just a good year for movies. I don't know. I don't think it means anything necessarily. I was just bringing it up.
But I guess in order to stay with a wide net, do you think that we should do a movie from like the 80s or 70s?
I think we could. I mean, I don't. Yeah. I mean, maybe not that far back.
I mean, we could do like one of the 27 Batman films. It'd probably take us all the way back to the 60s.
Yeah. I'll tell you, when I was going to try to do a solo episode last week when you were sick, I was going to try to do Inception.
I would have been really upset with you if you would have done that.
And the audio didn't end up working, so you don't have to be upset with me. But
I don't have to be upset because God prevented you from sinning.
Yeah, I don't.
And I expect you to repent of your sin.
That one's from 2010, so that's 12 years old now. I mean, actually, I think in July it will be like 12 years since it was released, but we could do that one at some point too.
Yeah. I kind of want to do, I've been thinking about this more, and I know people are going to, I don't know if redundancy gets annoying or whatever, but I kind of think we should do The Dark Knight.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of like morality, like with the Joker.
Yeah.
And like some men just want to see the world burn.
So if we're going to do that, should we actually do that whole series in order? And now we're talking about, strategy and future of WatchWell Podcast. So maybe there's people that want to comment and say what they think. But what do you? I mean,
yeah,
do you
please
think we should do them in order?
If you guys want to see us do a series, we'd love to hear your opinions. Even pick the series,
Yeah.
But I guess I'm indifferent. I'm okay with whatever. I think that do you think trilogies are too long? Do you think
I mean,
because you're thinking that's 3 weeks.
Yeah. But I mean
But maybe that's part of the story. Maybe that's part of the podcast, and people would.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's worth a shot.
Yeah, we can do the whole series, and then maybe if that goes well, we can do something like the whole all 8 movies of Harry Potter or something. 8
Yeah,
weeks.
just push us into 2023. All the
Yeah.
Harry Potter movies.
Yeah.
Um,
Let's not do Avengers movies though.
no, I agree with that. No Avengers. Because we'll be 40. Well, Nick will be 50. By the time we're done with that.
That hurts.
Yeah, the truth does sometimes. Yeah, I mean, are we just gonna make the decision? You want to tell them the movie that we planned on doing next week, and then in 2 weeks start the Batman trilogy?
Sure. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
next week we are planning on doing 13 Hours, The Secret Soldiers of Benghazi. So go ahead, watch that movie. You can do a little historical research if you'd like on Benghazi if you're not familiar with what happened. If I'm not mistaken, it was a year after September 11th.
No, not 1 year. It was 10 years.
10 years. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
10 years. Yeah, not 1 year. Doing this switcher and trying to talk can get a little complicated sometimes.
We need a video guy.
We need a video guy.
Or gal.
This is a great time to plug our Patreon page. If you guys want to support the WatchWell podcast, go ahead, check out our Patreon page, become a patron. If you want to support us financially, you can go on there. You can donate. We'd really appreciate it. We want to reach people who don't know Jesus and equip people with viewing stories through the lens of truth. If you like that mentality, if you like that ethos, go ahead, check that out. We'd really appreciate any help, any giving. We'd really appreciate that. So,
For sure. So just so I understand,
okay,
we're doing 13 hours. Then we're going to move on to Batman Begins, The Dark Knight, and The Dark Knight Rises.
love it.
So we've got our
Love
next 4 weeks
Planned out. Yeah.
All right.
Yep. I see that smirk. I think you're excited.
I am.
Have you been reinvigorated?
I didn't need to be reinvigorated, I don't think, but yeah. So how many episodes will we be at that point? So next is 7, 8, 9, 10.
Yeah,
so
I think that's right.
The Dark Knight Rises will be 10, and 4 of our 10 episodes will be Batman movies.
Yeah, right. Are we biased? Can you tell? I think. I think Batman is a favorite.
Yeah, and then
I will have to say, not Ben Affleck's Batman. Ben Affleck's Batman was trash. Was absolute trash.
I actually I haven't even watched a full one of I didn't watch Justice League. I didn't even watch the Snyder Cut Justice League. I didn't watch Batman vs Superman. So I couldn't even say how.
I think Superman was all right. Superman was good. I like the Superman movies, but Ben Affleck's Batman was trash. Absolute trash, garbage.
So is that a hot take or is that pretty common?
I have no idea, but in my head, my opinion is the only one that counts and matters.
Okay, fair enough. And then so if we follow the Dark Knight trilogy up with Inception, 4 of our 11 episodes would be Christopher Nolan movies.
Right. Right.
So we love Batman and Christopher Nolan.
Yeah.
Is that the way this works?
It's the 2000s all over again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good plan. And then maybe we could branch out and do something a little bit different.
Yeah.
Maybe do a musical or something.
Yeah.
Something out there, something different to get away from.
Unless you count Free Guy as a comedy. We haven't done a comedy yet even.
I would count that as a comedy.
I mean, it's like an action comedy.
Yeah, maybe we do... maybe we look at some trends of comedy movies and see what's coming out.
Yeah. There's not a lot of new ones.
Yeah, the movie theater's been kind of silent.
Seems like comedies are kind of going by the wayside.
Well, I know that at one point, because there's a bunch of stuff that got delayed in post-production. I know the new Top Gun movie's coming out. I think in December.
I think it comes out in May.
Does it come out in May? Did it change again? I know it changed a few times because of COVID, but I think that it would be good to definitely do Top Gun, and then maybe we could. I know at one point Kevin Hart was supposed to do a movie about Monopoly.
I don't know.
So we'll see.
But as always, if anyone has any ideas, feel free to let us know.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
Anything you want to hear. And we made the joke about maybe we shouldn't go back to the 70s and 80s, but even, well, I mean, we'll go back to the 30s and 40s and watch a movie. At least I will. I mean, I don't have nothing against that.
Honestly,
so.
I know this isn't something that we've really talked about, Nick, but I'd be okay doing a music, like a song. Like if people want to throw in music ideas, and I know that because songs can tell stories.
Yeah.
So,
and maybe a TV series or something.
Yeah.
We can figure out a way of doing. We wouldn't want to do every episode of a series.
Probably not.
We could figure out a way to do that. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, but songs, TV, maybe like a TV episode if it's got an overarching theme, and then any movies. I guess, dare I say, The Lord of the Rings. That's kind of like taking
I can watch the. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was gonna say that's like taking all the Harry Potter movies and just making them in 3 movies.
Yeah. Especially if we do the extended cut, the 4-hour versions.
But one thing that would be interesting though is if we did that. I have never seen the Hobbit movies.
You've never seen them?
No, I think maybe I've seen the first one. What's the first one? Is it just The Hobbit?
The Hobbit and Unexpected Journey.
Yeah, I think I've seen that one. What's the one with the dragon?
I think both the second and third ones.
I haven't seen the one with the dragon. I think I've just seen the first one. We went for a family friend's birthday party, and I watched that at the movie theater with them.
So they're good, and this is my opinion. They're good, but they're definitely not in the same league as the Lord of the Rings movies.
Which is so crazy because the Hobbits are newer. Usually, with new technology, you can make the movie better, but maybe it's just a script thing.
Yeah, they just weren't as good. Well, I think it's the Hobbit is one book that they stretched into 3 movies.
Right.
And then with the Lord of the Rings, you have, I think it's technically one book with 3 books inside of it, but they had to cut a lot of stuff out of the books in order to make it even to fit it into 3 movies.
Yeah, because it's a long book, right?
Yeah. So I think part of it is just they stretched it out. They stretched The Hobbit out too far. But it's, worth watching. They're all good. But
cool.
Yeah. So another thing that I wanted to ask people, and I don't know if you're still listening. We've just been rambling this whole episode. So if you're still listening, thank you. But would it be helpful to actually have this stuff in writing too? Like if we summarized our episodes and what how is it that we're watching this through the lens of truth? How is it that we're relating it to faith? And what are the lessons? And maybe have questions that if your small group or your family is sitting down and having a movie night, things that you could actually talk about, like bullet points or things like that, as something you could hold in your hand or bring up on your phone and say, for Free Guy, what does it mean to actually live? What gives life value? Or for Sing, you want to watch it for your kids, why is lying wrong? Like we could have a discussion guide or something like that helps like that. So I'd be interested to know if people think that's something that they would like. Would it be useful? Would it be helpful to do something like that? So
right. Yeah. And if you are watching, please check out our Facebook page. Don't be afraid to participate, comment, like comments, and we really, really want to hear from those of you that are listening. If you're listening through the RSS feed on Apple or Spotify or Buzzsprout or wherever you consume podcast information, if you are listening, please It would really help us in our direction of this because we want to give you guys the content that you're looking for. If you think that it's valuable, please let us know. It goes a long way, helps us make decisions, and like Nick was curious about the discussion guide. If a week is enough time to watch movies, if you would rather have 2 weeks. So going forward, we're just trying to fulfill what you guys get out of the podcast. So cool, Nick. Anything else? One thing that I do want to note is OBS shows me a timer. So before on Skype I didn't get a timer, and I can tell you that we're at 55 minutes and 30 seconds.
Wow. Just rambling with no script or
nothing.
plan.
I kind of enjoy it. It's kind of fun.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll see if people like it though.
Yeah.
We'll see if listeners like it.
It'll be shocking if it's if it has more views than all of our other actual movie reviews.
Yeah.
I think we hit every movie, didn't we? Or every
we
movie
at least
review?
touched on everything. Yeah, we did.
Cool. If you guys like these unscripted episodes, let us know about that too on the Facebook page. Just post a thing. We want to develop a community, like I was saying before, and you guys help us kind of choose which way to turn on the path. And yeah, so Facebook, Instagram, Parler. Now that Elon bought Twitter, we might get on Twitter. I've never been on Twitter, so
I made a Twitter like my freshman year of college. So
did you?
2005, but I've not really used it. I've started. I think I have 2 tweets or something like that, but
I've never. I think maybe I had Twitter for a week, and then I was like, this is lame. I didn't really quite understand just tweeting things.
Yeah.
But I rarely make Facebook posts anyway, so yeah, so that's where you can find us, Facebook, Parler, Instagram. We are also, like I was saying before, on Patreon if you want to support us financially. We're looking at, I think we are on, there's another social media site that we're on, but it's one of the newer ones. So not necessarily worried about that one. Am I missing anything, Nick?
I don't think you said YouTube.
Oh, YouTube. That's right. Thanks. I thought something was missing.
Rumble.
YouTube and Rumble. We're on YouTube and Rumble if you want to just watch us, get to know our faces. We're just normal, ugly dudes. So not super crazy. Anything great to look at, but little self-deprecating humor there. If you're interested in watching us, you can watch us on YouTube and Rumble. Other than that, I think we're good to go for tonight, Nick. What do you think? Anything else?
I don't have anything else. I think we're good.
Cool. All right, guys. We will see you next week. We're going to review the movie 13 Hours with John Krasinski.
I always just see Jim Halpert.
I know, right? Jim Halpert.
That's my problem. And we'll talk about this next week, but in 13 Hours, the guy that plays Roy is in it too.
Yeah, he is. Yep.
So it's like I have to like change my brain to train my brain to see them differently.
Right.
It's hard.
Yeah, and the guy that is the chief is also in The Office. He's the insurance. He's the one that talks.
That's right.
Yeah, he's the one that talks to Toby about I forget what he did, but the HR. He's like the HR guy.
After Dunder Mifflin gets purchased.
Right. He goes in to make
Sabre.
sure that there's nothing crazy going on, and he's talking to Toby.
Oh man.
Yeah. So
we could probably do some WatchWell episodes on The Office.
I think we should. I think it would be a sin not to. The Office is great, so cool. All right, guys. Well, we will see you next week. We are gonna be back here on Thursday, and we will be doing 13 Hours. The Secret Soldiers of Benghazi. And again, we appreciate you guys that are listening. The best thing that you can do right now outside of joining Patreon would be to share the podcast, get it to as many people as you think that will enjoy it, and we'll see you guys next week.